Oh my goodness. We are live once again, fellas. It is Star Wars Newsnet Live. It is
Woo!
Thursday. It is that time of the week yet again. And nope, that's not Brian I see over there. That's not Jay I see over there, but Miguel and Nate, welcome back. I finally, drove the other two off, and, and
It's
then
only a
now
matter of
you
time.
guys are
It's only a matter of
risen to
time.
take their places. It's only a matter of time. Um, we're going to talk about Star Wars predictions for the next 11 months. We've done a resolutions show. We've had Bad Batch trailer news. There's been Daisy Ridley interviews that have gone on. And so Miguel published a piece for the site just a few weeks ago going through just 10 predictions he had for 2024. So we're going to bounce through some of those. I'll let Miguel kind of explain his rationale for why he is going that route. And then that gives Nate a chance to, because Nate, he got the copy of Living Force today. That's probably all he's done for the last 4 hours, I'm sure.
Not even.
I do not believe the lies of the Jedi that somehow Nate had other things to do.
I have so many things to do with my life in Star Wars. I have.
Sorry.
I know. As the book guy, I get books in my inbox and I get comics, and it is a tough life. It is a tough life being me, having to get all these extra things and share around, and it's tough. It's tough being me sometimes.
Well, good thing we're going to make it easy on you tonight. And Miguel's going to be able to go first, and then you can bounce off him. We'll see if you are going to double down on this prediction and agree with it, or if you happen to disagree and
that's what we're doing.
you wanna punch Miguel through the computer screen or something like that. I could be here to either help you and do a double fist, or try to block that the punch for you real quick. So it's gonna be a fun show. We're gonna go through a lot of fun things. I did want to say real quick that some MegaCon is going on in Orlando, and it's my first convention to ever go to, and it's been a blast. But I already know I'm going to be exhausted after the next 3 days.
Yep.
It is exhausting. And so check out our Instagram feed, Star Wars Newsnet, and then on Twitter, I'll put little fun stuff just from the week. There's so many just fun little Star Wars nuggets from the last few days, and
you'll never be able to find everything. Good luck.
Yeah, the whole Star Wars main Star Wars exhibit thing that they had. I actually did not even take any pictures, do any videos for anything today, because I wanted my first time to go through that. I was with one of my really good friends, and he's a super nerd. And I was like, the first time we do this, no phones, nothing. Let's just be nerds for a little bit and have a blast, just looking at all the stuff and interacting with different people. And I was like, I felt like that was the right approach. But are you guys ready to get into some Star Wars predictions?
Sure, let's do it.
It was a soft news week this week, so I really don't really have any quick hitters to start. So
it's been
nothing really quick hitters to talk about.
It's been a ghost town out there.
Yeah,
as much as we love comics.
I was very curious if you were gonna raise some topics
I couldn't even think of anything because the only things out there was Dr. Aphra ended this week. And,
it's a really good finale, but it's a comic.
That's literally the only thing that really happened this week. That and Escape from Valo came out, but we've talked about Escape from Valo on here multiple times, so I'm not gonna rehash that. So prediction number one, let's dive into it. All right, Miguel, prediction number one is this year in 2024, we will get details on Kathleen Kennedy's exit as Lucasfilm president. Big prediction. Take it away.
So again, this was a piece that we published around a month ago on the site. It was one of the what I call the Sunday pieces, where I just go into a deeper analysis into what's going on and stuff. So I wanted to do 10 predictions to say, just to make a test for myself and see at the end of the year if I passed or not. So let's see, what are 10 ballsy stuff that I can throw out into the world and see what sticks. Right. So even before we get into that, I will just say I'm not the biggest So I think this character is gonna show up in this episode of this show. Like, I'm not really good at that. Like, I've nailed some stuff before, but I think just most of that stuff is like really lucky. Like
So
you
you're
get lucky.
not here to tell me that Buryaga is going to show up in episode 6 of The Acolyte this summer. You're
I mean, I don't
you're
know
not
if
here to
it's.
tell me that tonight.
I don't know if it's gonna be episode 5 or 6. I can tell
Oh,
you
okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but like stuff like so I think Mandalorian is gonna be in Skeleton Crew. Okay, maybe but I don't know if it's gonna be Mando or it's gonna be Bo-Katan. Like who knows?
Right.
But I do know quite a bit about the behind the scenes stuff, and like I think I can kind of make some educated guesses on what's going on there. And like this stuff changes and stuff, but just reading through the lines, between the lines of what's going on this past couple of years, like I think we can make some educated guesses. So if you guys want to throw out stuff like either behind the scenes or just what you think is going to happen in either of the shows or movies or whatever, so this is the place to do it. Like this is just
Right.
an open field for everyone to pitch in. So okay,
Absolutely.
so let's go into the first one if you like.
Yeah, so it was that Kathleen Kennedy's
Yep.
exit as Lucasfilm president. We are going to get details on her exit this year, 2024.
Yeah.
The plan will be in place.
Yeah, so the issue here is that her contract is up this year, right? So it's up at the end of supposedly December. Like we don't know for sure, but
Right.
this is what the reports said back in 2021. So I just don't think that she's gonna re-up for another 3 years. So I think that either she's out by the end of the year, and we will find out much sooner than that, probably mid-year, or she will re-up for another year or two. So there are a couple of things here. One is like something we've discussed before, which was the promotion of Dave Filoni and Gary Beck to positions that could be that could lead into a more president-ish of Lucasfilm roles. So that was like indicator number one, if you like, or one of the several. The other one is of course that she's trying to get up movies up and running again. Like she has
That's like the big thing with Disney as a whole right now. We're like trying to go away a little bit from Disney Plus, and we gotta get that movie slate just cranking.
Right. So if this was like 3 years from now, I would say she's probably going out now to let new people in so that they can start from scratch. But she's already started this new lineup of movies, this new pipeline that hopefully is going to have 1 or 2 movies into production this year. So maybe she just wants to see through those come out, and maybe at least the first one. So maybe she re-ups for another year, and in that year she promotes, like let's say, Gary Beck to a co-president position so that she can groom her during this period of time, which is typical in these CEO positions. And Dave Filoni also like getting some leadership role as well, but also allowing him to develop stuff for the studio. So I don't know, that's just like an educated guess. I just think that we're gonna get details. I just don't think that she's gonna re-up for another 3 years. That seems like too much.
Right.
And she's like 70 something. Like she probably just wants to either go to the beach or do stuff that she's really passionate about for the few years that she has left on the business.
Okay, Nate, sorry. I'm such a force of habit there. I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I do. I am in the camp that thinks her days as head of Lucasfilm are numbered. I also tend to agree that she will probably see through this latest batch of films to a certain point. But yeah, I just don't know when she's going to. I don't know. It's so tough to judge because like these movies are 3 years out. Does she hang around those 3 years? Does she leave in the middle of production? I mean, I just don't know. I mean, it's tough. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out this year with Kathleen. My gut says I wouldn't be surprised if she does re-up for the whole 3 years and then go from there. But I don't know. I'm not going to be shocked no matter what happens with this because I mean, you can't really go against at a certain point. It's like Lucasfilm has to go in a different direction because I mean, has it worked? I mean, that's just been the subject of debate among the fans for years and years and years and years. And at some point, she's going to get tired of it, just like George did and other people as well. So I don't know. It'll definitely be the top story to follow this year when it comes to Star Wars. My gut says she will probably take another 3 years, and we'll just see what happens from there. But who knows?
I feel like this is definitely just something we're going to have to keep our eyes on because there has been that one sect of the fandom that's been wanting her to be gone for so many years. And if details start to come out about this stuff, maybe certain things leak before Lucasfilm really wants them to leak. It could really lead to just an interesting place for not really the fandom, but Lucasfilm as well. Like, how do they handle this like situation in a way that is graceful for her? Because she's earned like a very solid send off and drama free send off, and I'm just wondering how that's going to end up going if or when that day ultimately comes, whether it's in 2024 we get the news on that or beyond. We'll see. It's anyone's best guess.
I mean,
but
I do think that she will be like a producer for years to come.
Oh yeah,
on Star Wars. Like
even if she doesn't re-sign for the whole 3 years, like 1 year or two, her name is going to be attached to every Star Wars movie going forward because she basically set the groundwork for these, and we'll just see what happens from there. But yeah, we'll definitely be hearing her name with Star Wars no matter what. So
So let's go on to the second one here, and that is the Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie will start filming this year, and it will be by far the most diverse cast ever.
For a movie? And because the Acolyte's pretty diverse already.
For a movie, yeah.
Okay.
For a movie. Yes, for a movie. And so, Miguel, I'll let you take this one away. I have to say I 100% agree with this, and it was actually interesting today when Carlos Esposito was talking about how in big franchises, especially, he said, and in just movies in general, he said he thinks Hollywood's at a place now where they're really going to embrace the fact that diversity and ethnicity and culture in their movies, and it's not. And he said they thinks that in big franchises like Star Wars, that's going to be something that could be more prevalent as well, which I thought was interesting. Not that he has any knowledge of potential casting or movies, but just being around Lucasfilm as well.
Somehow Gideon returns in the Rey movie.
it's Gideon is the story of the Rey movie is about how Moff Gideon has been slowly developing his clones.
We don't see him in any of the Favreau or Filoni movies, but for whatever reason he pops up in that
for the Daisy Ridley.
And he's the exact same age.
Yeah,
he's the exact same. Yeah. Well, they're all his clones, and then she's gonna wipe him out again, and the movie is going to end with him going, "My clones." All right, Miguel, take it away.
And each one has a mustache and the other one doesn't. It like alternates.
Yeah, we find out he's related to Finn somehow as well. I don't know.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so let's split this in two parts. So the first one is the Daisy Ridley movie is gonna start filming. I think this was a given for a long time, and I have to say I published this piece just 2 days before the news on the Mandalorian and Grogu. So I didn't know back then. I will say also that I had for a long time one of the last few predictions was gonna be something is gonna happen with Mandalorian season 4. I just, between the rumors from late last year and just a hunch that this thing should have been we should have been hearing more stuff about it. I was gonna say something about it. I'm glad I didn't, because it would have been like cheaper of a prediction, I think. Even though I would have been already one right just from the start. But yeah, whatever. Regardless, I don't think Mandalorian and Grogu is going to affect the schedule for this Ridley's movie. And I've been vocal about how I think that Mando movie is actually probably about giving Filoni and Beck some room to experiment as film producers, because neither of them have ever, been behind the film. So I think that's going to be it. Even though Carrie Beck is not a direct producer or executive producer on the movie, as far as we know yet, but she's head of development, so she's going to be involved either way. So I do think, based on what we're hearing from the place that the script is in, that this movie should be ready to start pre-production in the spring and probably start filming later this year, probably in the second half. This also brings up another point. Just before I throw it back to you, I want to put this out there, which is, I believe this movie is filming in Pinewood in London. This is not confirmed, but this is just what the buzz surrounding it has been for a few months, and makes sense. This release in the UK. I think Shermeen Obed-Chinoy, the director, is also based in the UK, or if not, she goes there. She must have some place to live there. And also Stephen Knight, the writer, is British. And also, Pinewood just makes sense, and they have the Manhattan Beach studios booked for however long Filoni is going to be doing Disney Plus series. So it just makes sense.
The UK is taking over.
What?
The UK is taking over. That's what you're telling us.
Yeah, basically. Yes. So I think this is going to be filming in Pinewood. However, Fantastic Four is also filming in Pinewood. So how are those, can those two movies coexist in the same studio lot? Pinewood is pretty big, but I don't think I can't remember a time where they've had these two big movies. Maybe I can think of James Bond and Force Awakens back in 2014, right. But I don't know how long that lasted, and I don't know if these two movies can film together on the same lot for as long as they're required. There's also the point where Star Wars
movies for each, yes.
And Star Wars can also film globally, where they can go to Jordan to film some stuff on Tatooine or whatever. So there's that factor also as well. Maybe they can film in, I don't know, Europe somewhere, or Middle East just for a few months while Pinewood is busy, and then go back. I don't know. I just think that despite fake rumors out there, this movie is in the shape it should be in at this point. It is following the schedule, and we're gonna be hearing more about it rather soon.
Do you mean to tell me, Miguel, that I should ignore the articles I see on my feed on Twitter that tell me that this movie is delayed indefinitely? You're telling me that this random person I've never heard of but's telling me that this movie isn't having, that I should probably ignore that and move on to something else?
Okay, so I want to pick here, because this is so funny. So I've actually, the site that first reported this, I'm not going to oust them just out of respect, but I have been following them for years, and I know they have a good track record with other stuff.
Right.
Their Star Wars track record has not been great lately. And again, I'm not going to go into details, just not to be respectful, but they have a very good track record elsewhere. Maybe not in Star Wars as much. What is funny to me is that most people have never heard of this site, like you. And they are willing to believe the fact that this site they have never heard of and don't know the track record. They're willing to believe that, to believe them when they say that Lucasfilm is
right,
running like crazy again, rather than Lucasfilm saying everything is fine on the record to another outlet. So seriously, get your stuff together. I don't know. And I'll throw it back to you. Maybe we can revisit the part about the cast later.
Yeah, so Nate, you think that the movie's going to continue filming or start filming like we're all anticipating?
I have literally nothing to add. Yeah. I mean,
Love it. This is why we bring him on, folks. This is why we bring him in for this level.
What do you want me to
insight
say? I totally
that you
agree.
get
I mean,
nowhere you get
based
nowhere
on
else.
based on everything that we know, and if you know even a smidget of film production or anything like that, you can just tell that it's exactly where it should be at this point.
Right.
They're writing a script, it'll get reworked again, it'll get rewritten while they're filming the damn thing.
Yeah.
And it'll keep going until it comes out in 2026 or whenever it comes out. I don't know when they're planning on putting this out. That's just how these things work. So all this hullabaloo about it being delayed and whatnot, it's like, oh, there's no script. The dude, Stephen Knight, didn't get it in by Thanksgiving, so there's definitely problems and all this stuff. And it's just like, no, that's how this stuff works. It's filmmaking is so difficult, but at the end of the day, this movie will be shooting by the end of the year. I don't know when. Obviously, no one knows really when besides the people inside Lucasfilm. I also agree that it'll probably shoot in Pinewood, and I think that they will be able to make it work with Fantastic Four. It's Disney. They have so much money, and they have all these different producers and all these guys that know how to make all these things work. They probably have months and months and months of calendars of these people are shooting here, and the next day Fantastic Four shooting there, next day, and so on and so forth. So I'm not worried about this movie at all. It'll happen, and it'll be fine. And it'll shoot this year and all that.
Right. So just we got to keep it moving. We got a lot of predictions to get through tonight. And so we got the second half of this being the most diverse cast ever for a movie. And I tend to believe that this is actually, this will happen 100%. That's great. Something I'm concerned about, and these are concerns that we shouldn't even have to have. It's just ridiculous that we do, is that there will be a sect of people in the fandom that are going to use that as to fuel their agenda to create this hate and discourse around Star Wars Online. And while I think it's a very small percentage of the fandom that actually buys into that, I do think that the toxicity can seep into some of the more positive sides of the fandom to not derail this movie before it comes out, but there is part of me that is a little concerned that just the idiots out there are going to try and use that as a reason to keep this movie from being as successful as it should be. And so I'm curious to hear from you, Miguel. I think we probably all agree this is going to be a very diverse cast, and just talk about the microcosm of that's going to seep through the fandom, and how maybe people should even respond to that negativity, because sometimes it's best to ignore, sometimes it's best to say what you need to say. But I'm curious to see what you have to say.
Okay, so I was thinking just now, the most diverse cast ever. I think that's obviously really hard to measure. It's more of a headline than it is an actual fact, because how diverse was Force Awakens or Last Jedi? You get the main trio, which were a Latino guy, a black guy, and a girl. So obviously that's pretty diverse. You extend it to Adam Driver, okay, Caucasian, white American. Male, maybe not as diverse, but then you go into the supporting cast and you get someone I'm blanking on her name.
I'm forgetting on the
Kelly Marie Tran, right? So you get Kelly Marie Tran, you get Lupita Nyong'o, you get more people like that are non-male white Americans, but yeah. Right. So my thinking here is Charmin, she's gonna be captain of the ship the whole way through. She comes from Pakistan. I just think that the fact that she's coming from somewhere outside the US plays a huge factor in casting people outside the US. So that automatically brings a more diverse cast. And I just don't think that she's gonna tell a white male story. I
Yeah.
genuinely do not think that she's interested in that. So whether we don't know yet if Daisy is the lead of the movie, we assume she is, but we don't know for sure.
Right.
But
I'm gonna be honest. I'll probably be mad if she's not.
I mean, me too. But I can
Just
also
because I
understand
love the
that.
character. Just because I love the
Yeah,
character.
yeah. But I can also understand that she's gonna be training some people. So
Right.
it depends on like if this is an ensemble where she is kind of the lead, but they also take a prominent role, or
Like
if she's
passing the
actually
torch, even.
yeah,
Right.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, would love that.
As far as the fandom is concerned, maybe like this will not go over well with you guys, but I just think that it all depends on how Lucasfilm sells this movie. Like,
Mhm.
um, they cannot and should not sell this movie as super diverse, female directed. Like Daisy was even talking about this the other day. Like she's saying, I don't even care that she's the first female director in Star Wars. I just care that her documentaries are effing great. So I love her documentaries, and I
Right.
cannot wait to work with her after hearing her pitch and whatever. So I just don't think that in today's world, people. I just think that people can see through the stuff that they're selling this movie on the fact that this is the first female director in Star Wars. Take the example of Barbie, for example. Barbie was like very female centric movie, but it wasn't sold on a big studio movie directed by a woman. It was sold on the actual idea and the actual concept of the movie.
Right.
Take Across the Spider-Verse, which was like the most egregious example of diversity in Hollywood recently, yet Sony didn't sell the movie on, we have a very diverse cast or a very diverse, culturally diverse story. We are selling this movie on the fact that it looks effing great and, it looks like a ton of fun. And that's
Mhm.
how they made $700 million at the box office. I just think that, and then you take Blue Beetle, which was sold on the fact that this is the first Latin superhero ever, and it tanks. Like I just think that people can see through the messages, and I'm not saying you shouldn't employ these people. I'm saying you should, but you should sell the
Right.
movie on the actual story, not
Mhm.
Uh,
Sell the movie on its merits versus something else.
Right, exactly. Like you didn't hear this backlash when Across the Spider-Verse was being promoted because,
Right.
and obviously Star Wars is bigger than that, and it has a much more toxic fandom. So those people are gonna come out anyways. But it just depends
Mhm.
on how they sell this movie. Which again, given Daisy Ridley's comments and more stuff, like I don't think they're gonna do that. I'm just saying, just as a warning.
Absolutely. Nate, what about you?
Yeah, I have to echo pretty much all those points again. I wish
Come
I
on,
had
Nate.
more.
Let's go.
I have
No, I'm just,
nothing.
I'm just kidding. I'm
I
just
think he
kidding.
nailed it on the head. At the end of the day, if it's a good story, it's a good story, and I think that's what's going to matter most to
Mhm.
people. If they sell the story, people are going to come see it. People are going to enjoy it, and if there's and it's a movie that's going to have something
Mhm.
in relation to activism. That's just a reality of what she does. It is what it is, but Daisy has been on point with what she said about the movie so far, as you said. I think she said all the right things. I mean, even Charmine, she really hasn't said anything beyond the first. It's about time a woman led into Star Wars. As the movie gets being made, we'll have to see if the route she goes with her stuff. But at the end of the day, if the movie is good and if it tells a good story, that's what people are going to care the most about. And I know that this is an apple and oranges comparison, but I can't help but think about the High Republic and how diverse a story that is. And I'm sure you guys remember all the backlash that was online when they first announced it, and all the characters and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, it's nothing but woke stuff and all this stuff. And I hate to use the word woke. I hate that word so much. But now, all these years later, you don't hear anything about that really unless you really seek it out, because the
It's
High
literally
Republic
been
stories,
years.
because the High Republic stories at the end of the day are good stories. And
It's been
people
years, Nate.
and people have just stopped worrying about that stuff, because at the end of the day, it's the story that matters. So, yep, yes, as long as they focus on that, we're good.
So
Like it's been years since the High Republic came out. I'm like, I feel like it was yesterday. I picked up Live the Jedi, and I'm like, oh my gosh, wow.
there is another prediction with the Acolyte a bit later, so maybe we can put a pin on this for now and revisit it in
Yes.
just a few minutes, because
We
there's
gotta
like a second part to this, which I guess you're going to introduce now.
Yes, so it's a good segue. We're talking about the cast of this movie, then to go into prediction number 3, which is John Boyega will return to Star Wars. I might go a step further and say Oscar Isaac might even return to Star Wars for this movie in something like small. He's making some comments out there. If the check is big enough, I think he may come. But John Boyega will return to Star Wars. Prediction number 3. This one better come true. I am ready for the Rey Finn renaissance that's going to happen in 2026. I am so excited for it. But Miguel, John Boyega will return to Star Wars. Sell me even harder on it.
So I don't fully agree about Oscar Isaac, but maybe we can talk about him another day. So this is where my head is with Boyega. So there is no way that they are pitching this movie internally and they're not talking about Finn. Like if you're talking about Rey building the new Jedi Order, and given the events of Rise of Skywalker, there's no way you don't at least set apart the option of John Boyega returning. And examining Boyega's recent comments, I also think that there have been behind-the-scenes conversations that may have indicated that he is open to return, and maybe if the script is good enough, he will. Which is, I think, what it all comes down to. And this is the part that worries me a little. So I'm just making a guess here, but I would guess that the script they're currently writing has Finn in it. So if Boyega declines the offer, what happens to that script? Like, can they rewrite it easily to take him out, or can they put another character in to take his place, or what? So my thinking is that he got the call last year. He said, "Okay, let me read the script first. I want to check that you're doing right by my character, and then we'll talk." And I just think that they will send the script to him either in the next few weeks or a couple of months tops, and he will say, "I'm back."
I really hope that is correct. It would be a big just downer if he ends up coming out saying, "I'm not going to be returning for this movie." They move forward, he's not in it, and that would take the wind out of the sails a little bit going forward. But if he comes out, he's like, "Yes, we're doing this," they announce it, the hype is going to get pretty big pretty fast, I would say, for sure. Nate, throwing it to you.
Yeah, I have to echo Miguel on the Oscar Isaac part. I'm not sure. We'll see. One, because I'm not sure what his role would be, but who knows? We'll have to see. But
it's being awesome.
Sorry, I'm not a huge fan of the Poe Dameron character. But that's not a story for another day. As far as John Boyega, I think it's only a matter of time until the trades drop the report that he's coming back. And that's just solely based on the trajectory of the comments he's been making about Star Wars and his role as Finn. I think it just makes sense for him. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I am completely drawn a blank. At the end of the day, this is a profession and actors need money. I'm not sure what roles John Boyega is bringing in to.
Oh, he is working.
I know, but it's like every actor is looking for the next big thing.
Listen, if this guy wanted to be in Marvel, he would be in Marvel. Like, if this guy wanted to be...
So, he's not.
But
so...
I think he wanted to pursue more independent projects.
Yep.
And maybe he wanted a break from, like, big studio IP.
Yep.
And he was doing just that. Like he was working with people that he wanted to work with. Like he was in The Woman King. He was in last year's They Clone Tyrone. He's in a couple movies this year. Like
everything I've seen him in, he's been good. But at some point, he's going to want that big franchise money again, and I think it's just a matter of time until he comes back. So, yep, I think he'll come back.
Skywalker's Academy says he doubts that Finn will ever be yelling Rey again on our TV screens or on our movie screens. I will take that bet. It's going to turn into
that's all Finn does is yell.
It's gonna turn into our new. I've got a bad feeling about this. It's just every single movie. It's gonna have John Boyega yelling. Rey. It's not even gonna be a Rey movie. Just in the Mando Grogu movie, somewhere in the distance, you're just gonna hear this echo. Everyone's gonna turn and look, and it's gonna be the new thing. I think he's coming back. I agree. Moving on to, we can't go a single episode of this show without mentioning the High Republic. That's just the beauty of this show. And why not begin with the first live action High Republic show, High Republic anything other than, our animated Jedi, adventures, which have a dear place in Nate's heart. Let's go ahead and talk about why the Acolyte
of season 1
will be.
I don't know what they're doing.
The Acolyte will be a big hit this year. This hopefully late summer, it will be a big hit. We don't know when the trailer is going to come out. They may never drop it. We might be sitting here this time of year talking about how great the Acolyte was, but man, it's weird that we never got a trailer for it. I'm expecting it in May, but Miguel, I know that you haven't really dipped your toes in any High Republic books. I don't think so. I'm curious to see from your perspective. Obviously, Nate and I are super into the High Republic, so we both want this to be a big hit, and in our heads are like, please be a big hit, and almost make us expect it to be a big hit because we know how great the High Republic is and the opportunities that are there. But someone who hasn't read the books at all and is coming into this era, the end of this era fresh, I'm curious as to why you think it's going to be such a big hit.
So that's interesting because I thought this would be like the one we would disagree on, because based on your conversations with Brian in recent weeks, you weren't very bullish on the Acolyte. Like you were doubting.
I love the Acolyte. No, it's the thing I've been most excited for since I read The Lie of the Jedi. Since I knew that the Acolyte was going to happen, and since reading some High Republic stuff and reading all that, that's what I've been most excited for. The thing that makes me nervous is Lucasfilm's history of, we're going to market this show 6 weeks before it comes out, and with something like the Acolyte where you can't plaster the Millennium Falcon on there or Grogu on there, or something that audiences are familiar with. Even with Andor, you could talk about Rogue One, which is pretty universally beloved in the Star Wars community. I was just nervous that they're going to treat this show like they do all their other things, and the casual fans are going to be like, well, I don't know any of these characters, I don't know any of this, and it might take a while for it to gain steam. And I was a little nervous about that. Now it could have the exact opposite effect, but it's not that I don't want it to be a hit or don't think it's going to be really good. It's just I'm worried about how quickly it catches on with the casual Star Wars fan that has no idea what the High Republic even is.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. I thought you weren't very positive on this being a big hit, not being good. I'm talking about numbers. I'm talking
numbers.
I'm not talking quality. I'm not talking. I think this will be big, and I think this will be the next big Star Wars thing. Which I knew you wouldn't think so, and I think Brian is even less optimistic about that. So by the way, I completely disagree with you about the marketing stuff, but yeah, we can talk about that another day.
You mean you're okay with it 6 weeks before? I feel like it's weird that
6 weeks is plenty of time.
Yes,
I just feel like it's weird because this trailer is out. We know they have a trailer. And
yeah, but this stuff is very normal for conventions. Yeah. They used to drop 2-minute trailers for Marvel movies that were a year and a half in advance at Comic-Con, and the full trailer wouldn't drop for another 8 months, and it would be a completely different trailer. That stuff was
Right.
exclusive to people at Celebration, that just so they could,
Fine.
you know, it's not even like a marketing stuff, and obviously it is, because all of this is a marketing stunt. But it was just like, for you people, because you enjoy this so much, here's something, a bit of a present for you. And obviously they expect people
Right.
to go on social media and talk about it, but
Mhm.
it wasn't like all of that buzz that came out of the celebration stage. That's like died. Like no one is talking about that anymore, unless the
That's what
trailer.
I'm saying though, is that there's so many people that have no idea what the High Republic is. I just have a part of me is worried. Now I want you to be correct and this be the absolute biggest hit ever. And I think it could, the pendulum could easily swing that way if it, for sure, if it's good. I just worry that 6 weeks, the trailer comes out. It's going to be over the summer. People are busy over the summer. People are doing things. They're not necessarily going to be glued into everything going on Disney Plus when there are dozens of other shows that are going to be streaming at that time. I don't know when Rings of Power is going to be coming out for season 2. I don't know when House of the Dragon season 2, but they're both coming out this year.
Yeah.
And those two shows have a lot of audience and clout already built, within them. And so I just wonder, is this new Star Wars thing, is it going to be the fresh thing that gets the fandom just completely in awe? Or is it going to be the fresh thing that kind of just gets lost for a little bit until it gains steam? That's kind of where I'm at.
I just think that Star Wars shouldn't be scared of House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon should be scared of Star Wars. And whenever that Acolyte trailer hits and they have a shot of 17 Jedi igniting their lightsabers, that's gonna explode on social media.
Which is why I want them to drop that like tomorrow, just 5 seconds, like not even like a full thing, but just and then
take the hype away from
might
Bad
start
Batch.
asking questions about.
That's why they do the cycles they do, is because people have such short attention spans.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate reality. People can only focus on one thing at a time, and so yeah.
And like,
I think the Star Wars live action fan base is different than the Star Wars animation.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, but I think they didn't think it. I don't think they concluded it was the best idea last year to drop the end of Bad Batch season 2 at the same time as they started airing Mandalorian. Yeah, that was weird, and I think it was weird for everyone. So I don't think they're gonna go back to that, and I think they're gonna space out things, which is why partly under season 2 is it's not dropping out this year. It's not coming out this year. As far as I was surprised that they didn't have this coming next year to Disney Plus trailer at the end, in December, with a quick shot of the Acolyte and another quick shot of Skeleton Crew, which they could have reused the one from Jude Law last year. But I was surprised, but I'm not surprised they haven't dropped the trailer yet, because Tell me
not the full trailer, but just a little snippet of this is something to expect. This is something you can keep in the back of your mind.
Any other streaming service that drops trailers 3 months in advance? No one does it, because streaming is different than theatrical. With streaming, you have these 4 to 6 weeks where you can focus all of your attention on. And I think the trailer is going to drop.
They dropped the House of the Dragon
trailer. That's a cable channel, though. That's not streaming.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking strictly streaming. Take Max, for example. Max, they do drop trailers for the whole year, which Disney Plus used to do, but they don't drop full trailers for a season until 4 or 6 weeks before it airs. Tokyo Vice is coming out next week. The trailer and the date came out in mid-January. They have hacks coming out in the spring.
Beyond the trailer, how do they not have, especially with Skeleton Crew, you had Jude Law of all people come in and do this, and you have one image of Jude Law on the interwebs for people to look at from. Of course, we'll get into some Skeleton Crew stuff here in a minute, and then also with the Acolyte, if this is the most diverse cast for an ensemble that they've ever had. There's supposed to be all of these Jedi. There's Wookiee Jedi. There's all of these things that are going on, and they can't publish here's a few images from the Acolyte. Like we had the big marketing event that they did with Kathleen Kennedy, you know, and some of those things panned out, some of those didn't back in 2019. But they had like a behind the scenes sizzle reel of Andor that came out then. And I remember people like just talking about that for, you know, a while. That stuck in people's minds a little bit. It was cool. I'm not saying that every single project they have to drop those, you know, years in advance, but it's coming out this year. I was expecting maybe just something along the lines of like what you're saying or before to expect. Not necessarily the full trailer, but just something that would people gravitate towards.
I just think that if this show is coming out in August, let's say August, for example, because last year Ahsoka was the same. We didn't hear a peep about Ahsoka besides 2 or 3 images before April, which was Celebration. And if Celebration hadn't been in April, maybe we wouldn't have heard anything about Ahsoka until May. Like, take that example. So, yeah, I get your point about images, but at the same time, I also think that they want, like, these 2 months leading up to the release to just focus all of their attention into, like, explaining what this is. And why this is new and what is going on here. And I just think that
absolutely,
I don't think they need 6 months, because whatever they do at the beginning of the 6 months is gonna dry out 2 months later.
Yeah, so I will say too, like generally in life, this is what most of my friends would say. I am like the eternal optimist when it comes to anything, but the things I am like most passionate about. So whenever my Oklahoma City Thunder go to play Nate's Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA on a given night, I am fully expecting them to break my hearts at 11:30 p.m. and I'm going to go to bed sad. I'm watching my football team play. The first time the interception is thrown, I'm like, that's it. We're done. Like, it's over. We're going to lose. And so I've said on here, the High Republic is my favorite era in Star Wars. Like, they only have books, but it's my favorite era. And so I want nothing more than for this to succeed. And so I think part of it is, in my mind, I'm like looking for all these reasons why it might not. So I'm bracing myself for an eventual possible letdown. Thankfully, other things like the Percy Jackson season 1 was fantastic. And I know that I'm going to get my full 5 seasons of that. I don't have any, pessimism there. But Nate, real quick, Miguel doesn't need to comment on any of the Percy Jackson stuff. The Acolyte will be a big hit. Yes, Nate?
I think
if you say I have nothing to add at all, I'm gonna lose.
It'll be a hit. I don't know if it'll be a big hit. I think it'll come down to
define a hit. What are your hit levels? What does that look like?
I don't know. What's a big hit?
The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian level.
It's a big hit.
Maybe.
I
think it will have to take its time to get there, but we'll see. It'll come down to the marketing. If that first trailer comes out and it knocks everybody's socks off, and we have, say, like a 2-month window to build up and put out more TV spots and inform people what this is, because I mean, we know a lot about this show already based off of different things, but you also have to remember that. I mean, there's a lot of interviews and whatnot, but at the same time, that's all
like
for
the premise. That's about it.
That's all for us. That's not for the casual people. So they have to inform the casuals of what this is. And as Miguel pointed out, you can't do that right now.
We need to find a representative of the casuals. Who would be that person?
I'm a big movie buff. I have no freaking clue what's coming out this summer. I can't tell you anything about what's coming out this summer.
Deadpool 3.
Which is my perfect time to say that I just published my top 24 most anticipated movies of the year, movieNewsNet.com.
Right. MyBrainNewsNet.com, everyone. Miguel published the list. I need to go read that. Eventually got to start getting my calendar straight. I got to buy my Doom tickets this weekend for it comes out.
That's right. My brain is all on Dune. I am laser focused on one thing right now, and that's Dune. And I'm not thinking past that right now. I don't want to think too far ahead about Acolyte because I want to focus on all these other things. So, and that's the trick. They have to find the exact right
that's
time.
The trick. No, he said that's the trick. Focus on one thing at a time, people. Let's not think ahead.
That's the thing, because they have to pick the exact right moment to start getting people to focus on the Acolyte, and right now is not then. Right now is not the time. So we just have to
It is for
bide
me.
our
Just
time.
inbox it to me directly at
Well,
Hybrid5.
I'm
Shoot me
sorry,
a
that's
DM,
not the way the
Lucasfilm.
world
You can
works.
just
I mean,
drop it right in there. I promise I will not say a word to
we are not
anyone.
the people they want to reach right now. They
I'm
don't care
a
about us
casual.
right now.
I'm a casual. I'm just the casual.
They don't care about reaching the hardcores right now. They want to pick the right time in order to reach everyone. And right now, and it's going to take some work, but if they can market it right,
Right.
it certainly could be a big hit on Mandalorian level, and I hope it is, because I think the show could be really something special. So
before we move on, just quickly. So my thought process here was this. What were the biggest movies last year? So you think of Oppenheimer, you think of Barbie, you think of Across the Spider-Verse. There's Super Mario Brothers as well, but we can leave that off just for argument purposes. So those three movies just feel like something you don't see every day. Like audiences craving for something huge on the movies, but also something fresh. So, the Marvel movies like Ant-Man 3 didn't feel fresh. So people just didn't show up. Like, what was it? The Marvels felt like generic as hell. So people just didn't show up. But movies that feel fresh, that feel new, that feel like you're a big part of something bigger, like Barbie and Oppenheimer and stuff, like that stuff like feels new and people want to be a part of that. So I just think
I'm ready
that
to
the
run through a
Acolyte
brick wall
is
for
going
you
to
right
have
now, Miguel.
what?
So I'm ready to run through a brick wall for you right now. You're hyping me up. Like this is what I need to hear right now.
So I just think that the Acolyte is gonna feel like something different from Star Wars. Like, I'm sorry, but the Mandoverse is feeling like pretty boring at this point. Like, I know they have like huge stories coming up, but it's all looking the same and just the same visual style, the same directors, the same people, the same timeline, the same characters. Like, we just want something new. And like this is the same thing that Mandalorian was back in 2019. Like that was completely different, a new character, a new look, an era that we haven't really visited before, and this is the exact same, I think. So this is why I think this is going to be a huge hit.
So speaking of new, 2 new Star Wars shows will be announced in 2024. 1 live action, 1 animated. Of course, there is going through the slate real quick. Mando season 4 may or may not be on the table anymore. I guess we'll find that out probably. I would assume we'll find that out this year, just based off of the movie that's going to be shot this year. We have Ahsoka season 2, which they announced is in the works, and Andor season 2 is pretty much, I guess it's wrapped up filming at this point, given that they said they had like 7 days left. Yeah, it finished up. And other than that, Skeleton Crew, we don't know if Skeleton Crew is going to have multiple seasons. We'll wait to see on the Acolyte, but there is room for something new to be in the works. And then, of course, Bad Batch is wrapping up this year. And there's the Tales of the Jedi that comes out later this year, supposedly, and Vision Season 3. So there's nothing new in the major animation slots. So I definitely can see both of these things happening. I would be really interested to hear what you guys think some of those ideas could even be, or when those announcements could come out. So I'll start with you, Miguel.
When D23, which is August. That seems like the perfect place. It's removed fairly enough from Celebration next year, which is in April. They have room to promote new shows this year, and they also have room to save some announcements for Celebration Japan.
Can we pause real quick? I have a random question.
Yeah.
A fan asked me this today at MegaCon. They said, do you think that they will do 3 celebrations in a row? Because they said that they have Japan in 25, and then 26 is when they have the 2 movies coming out. So it's like it's the biggest year they've had in, a decade. So
Possibly.
are they going
we don't know for sure. I think that calendar is going to be
It'll be
rearranged,
tough.
but let's assume they have
right
2.
now, like they have 2 movies on the slate
Yeah.
in 26, but then in 27 you have to do a celebration because it's like 50 years. 1977 like 50 years of Star Wars. They gotta have something for that year. You'd think they would do a celebration during that year. and they'll probably have a movie coming out that year as well. Just a random. I know it's like we're throwing us off, but we had an interesting conversation with them. I thought that might be. You mentioned celebration and made me think: would they do 3 in a row, or is 26 gonna still be like a gap year?
Quick answer: yes, yes, they will.
They will.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. Like 2025, we
Right.
know 2027 has to be a celebration because that's the
Yeah.
50th. That's gonna be like huge. Like
Yes.
that's gonna be like bringing George out huge.
Yeah.
And 2026 is supposed to be like their big return. Whether Mando and Grogu comes out in 2025 or 2026, they're gonna have like I just see Mando and Grogu as like the soft launch of the new movie era. So I think the big launch will be in 2026 either way. So they're gonna have a celebration as well. Quick answer: yes.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I hope you're right. That would be amazing. And I'm hoping beyond
Florida, yeah.
that I think 25. So 25 is Japan. I'm hoping they don't do. Sorry, Miguel. I hope they don't do a Europe one in 26.
Oh, they will do Florida next.
You think
Or Anaheim.
that's what I was saying. I think Orlando. I think Anaheim is guaranteed for 27.
Yeah.
And then I'm hoping Orlando is going to be 26. And of course, if you all want to come down, you always have a place to stay here in lovely
Minneapolis,
Florida.
Minneapolis, we have so much good stuff here. Come on, man.
So Nate, or sorry, Miguel, go ahead, finish what you're saying. Live action show, animated show.
We're never finishing this show. We're never finishing.
Yeah,
this show.
no,
This
I
is
mean,
the last one. We'll just end on this one for now, or we can
Okay.
just go through rapid fire on the others then.
Okay, we can do rapid fire. I don't know any. I have no ideas. Like, I published this a couple days before Ahsoka season 2 was announced. I'm not counting that. That counts as a new season. I think there's gonna be a new show announcement. I don't know what it is, honestly. I'm thinking of something like Skeleton Crew, not necessarily
Right.
in that era, but something that just comes out of nowhere, where a filmmaker just pitched something and something came out of that, and now they have a lead actor attached. I don't know what it is. As far as animated, there's this Tales of the Sith stuff. Maybe they can live in that era for a bit. Maybe they have, I don't know, something Ben and Luke, but I don't know. Maybe High Republic. High Republic would make sense. Yeah.
So
after you, Nate.
plenty of stuff. Nate.
Live action, I'm not so sold on because of the movies, and how they're
Okay.
ramping those up. But animated series, I feel like is probably a lock. Just based off what they've done before, based on what I can remember. Once one show ends, once one animated series is ended, they tend to announce one shortly thereafter. I remember when Rebels ended, they announced Resistance.
Yep.
I remember when Clone Wars ended, they announced Bad Batch pretty quickly after that. So I feel like we will be knowing what the next thing is after Bad Batch ends at some point. What that is, I literally have no idea. Are they going to finally go past Return of the Jedi and give us that animated series there? I don't know. We'll have to see, but I feel like it's probably a lock.
Cool.
It's probably a lock. We'll get an animated announcement. Live action, I'm not so sure because of the movies.
I think the animated announcement is going to be post Return of the Jedi. I don't think it's going to necessarily be set in the Mandoverse around everything that we've been talking about, like with those characters. But I do think they're going to do something with Luke in some sort of capacity in animation.
That'd be the way to do it. I mean, they could follow Luke's story from where they have in The Mandalorian and just follow Luke as well from there. So
that seems like
if they do want to loop it in,
I want High Republic. Give me the High Republic. That would just be incredible. Oh my gosh, that just no. I can't even fathom going there right now. We just got to move on. Let's go real quick. We're going rapid fire here. I put number 5. This is supposed to be number 6. Lucasfilm will hire at least one outside film senior executive. Basically, this is around the premises they don't have any just film like experts right now with the promotions that were recently made with Carrie Beck and Dave Filoni. Seems like a safe bet to me, and less a safe bet, but more of a necessity given what's going on. Miguel, what about you?
So funny thing about this. I almost threw in a few possibilities for this. So yeah, I think that this is happening. I think this they made a similar announcement when they transitioned into the TV era back in 2020, 2021. They hired a head of physical production that was coming from Netflix TV. Yeah, they have a few film executives there, but again, I think Kathy Kennedy is going out, and probably some of the senior leadership is going out as well. So I think they need someone like who actually knows. So one of the names I was considering was the head of Netflix films, because the head of physical production right now came from Netflix. Maybe they just take another executive from there. We 2 or 3 weeks later, news comes out: Scott Stuber, head of Netflix films, is leaving Netflix, and he's starting his own thing. I don't think he's going to Lucasfilm though. So my rationale behind not including his name on the potential list was that I just think that whatever Netflix is doing is the exact opposite of what Lucasfilm wants to do, which is too many films, too rushed, and just very little supervision on them. And Lucasfilm should be doing the exact opposite. However, the news surrounding the Stuber's exit is that he was very unhappy with that work dynamic, and that he wanted to do fewer films, he wanted to have more supervision. So could he transition into that? What he wanted to do was start his own thing. And the fact that news haven't come out that he is starting his own production company yet, because that would probably require financing and also like probably a hot project to launch it on, has me putting this not as a non-impossibility, but I just don't think this is happening because he probably wants to do similar stuff to what he enjoyed doing at Netflix. And yeah, I'll just leave it there. Nate.
Yeah, it feels inevitable with everything they got going on. They're going to need an extra pair of hands just to kind of guide the ship a little bit more. It's like with the script writing thing I talked about earlier. I mean, they always bring in more eyes to oversee these things, and that goes on the producing side as well. So, yep, I feel like they'll
hat
probably,
in the ring.
Yeah, Jesus.
You can throw your hat in the ring, little resume, send a little resume there.
Resume. Yeah. I'll get
Write
on that.
Write him a great.
I'll get right
really
on that.
Strong cover letter. I think
I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
You say you're a terrible writer. I'm like, that's not true.
At cover letters, I am terrible. In the real world, it comes to resumes and cover letters, I don't know. I am not a formal writer. I just like bullshitting. So I like bullshit. Most of my articles for the site are just bullshit that I just spew on a page and hope it makes sense.
Come to Star Wars Newsnet, a force for BS news from Nate Manning.
Yep.
Number 7, Skeleton Crew will undergo significant reshoots. Miguel, rapid fire, significant reshoots. Define how significant you're talking, and will this mean that, I thought this was going to be coming out. It's supposed to come out last year. Obviously got pushed back with obviously a number of reasons. And it's not coming out beginning of this year. It's, now it looks like it's going to be the end of this year, even pushed probably maybe even a little into next year. We'll see depending on the release date. How significant, and when can we expect the Skeleton Crew to see it?
Skeleton Crew is probably going to be at the end of the year to coincide with the holidays and the family cozy environment. How significant? I mean, I don't know. But I did think about reshaping this into a Skeleton Crew will lose one of the directors they announced. So I think that would. I don't think. I'm not saying this is gonna happen. Like, I'm not saying this is my prediction, but I think this is the level of significance. They might have trouble booking back their directors to reshoot like for multiple weeks. I think. Okay. I just this feels like, I don't know. There's something off about this project right now.
As we've heard next to nothing about Skeleton Crew for a long time now. Nate.
Yeah, something's up with Skeleton Crew. I don't know what. Can't put my finger on it. No one can. You listen to the rumors. This show is doomed on arrival. I don't know if it's going to be that bad. My fingers are crossed.
Acolyte, big hit, and then Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, I am really nervous for this show when it comes out. I feel like because it's in the Mandoverse, and the Mandoverse right now, it's kind of cold in terms of interest. We'll have to see. But as far as the reshoots go, I mean, there's probably going to be some. I mean, it's a big production. As far as how significant, I don't know. I mean, I've learned to not really put too much thought into reshoots. That's just a normal part of production, but we'll see.
Right. Number 8, Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie will find its star. We're finally going to get some information on this secret project of Taika's that has been taking place in his secret writing cave in wherever he does his writing things, somewhere off in the Taika universe. Miguel, go ahead and just, I'm losing at this point.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk us through that one.
Very quickly. So this, we're talking about this the same day that news came out that Amy Adams is going to be joining his new movie at Sony, 3000 Pictures, Clara and the Sun, which was which weighed into my rationale here on the article. So Deadline confirmed my speculation from this article, and what I've been thinking for a few months is that Clara and the Sun is going to shoot like right now, like probably in the next few weeks in the spring. This is going to shoot 2 months in and out, and Waititi is going to be available to do Star Wars again in the fall. And I just like, there's something about this that I think this is advanced enough where they could start pitching the idea to some actors, but not ready to go into pre-production yet if this guy is going to shoot and edit another movie, which is probably going to require some effects because of the Jenna Ortega robot and stuff. So I just think that this guy is very creative. He doesn't stop. And I just think that this is going to be his next movie after Clara and the Sun. So maybe talking on the set of that movie with Jenna Ortega and saying, yeah, you know, I have this Star Wars movie. Like, Jenna Ortega is in the exact age where she would be pitched a Star Wars role, a Star Wars leading role. Like, you know,
that would be massive.
Yeah, I don't know if she will
not just
join.
because of, like, if it was someone like that, just because of what kind of audience you're bringing in. Because like, I'm a middle school teacher, and my middle school, they're obsessed with her. Like, they're absolutely obsessed. And then that would be a lot of people, a lot of parents want to bring their kids to see the movie that she's in.
I don't know. It just feels like they need something to make sure, not just to the outside people, but to Lucasfilm internally, that this project is actually real. And it's not just about sending new drafts of the script anymore. This is about committing someone to the project. So there's something about it that just feels like they're about to make something like a big hiring, let's say.
Nate?
Miguel, you know better than I do. Does he have anything else on his horizon besides Clara and the Sun that he's working on?
So he said in the fall that he has 3 projects to do over the next, let's say, 5 or 6 years. So he has Clara and the Sun, he has Star Wars, and he has the adaptation of The Incal, which is this graphic novel from Alejandro Jodorowsky or something like that. I'm mispronouncing his name. Sorry. He also has Akira for Warner Brothers, but that's like
never happening.
Yeah, I don't think that's a priority right now, and he didn't mention that, so I think we can take that off. So between The Incal and Star Wars, I think he's doing Star Wars first because that script is also more advanced.
Yeah, because the script is where it is, I'm sure. And we don't know and correct me if I'm wrong, but do we know if he ever turned a draft in of the script, or does
Yeah,
he still...
yes.
Okay. Man.
I mean, maybe not a finished one, but he's been in conversations with Lucasfilm back and forth. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like,
The D
I
Squad
don't
reunited script
personally.
is
I don't think
been
the
handed in.
odds are very good,
Okay.
but I wouldn't be surprised either. Because I don't, as right now, like, I don't know where his movie fits into the slate, but that's also because based on everything we know and what they're saying, I don't know. There's a chance. There's always a chance. We'll just have to see when they get Claire and the Sun going, because I think that's the big thing right now with him.
They would never. This would never happen for Taika's movie. I'm not trying to insinuate that. Do you think Disney Lucasfilm would ever drop a Star Wars like movie straight to Disney Plus? Like
It
they would create a
could.
Disney Plus Star Wars
I
movie?
don't think it's impossible for Lando to be that.
Okay, that's what I was gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lando could. I don't see that happening with it.
I don't think it is. I'm not giving it a likely possibility, but I don't think it's impossible.
No, yeah, it's not impossible. I feel like they're trying to get away from that idea. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think
brings us
David
to the last
Zaslav.
prediction that
I
you
think
made,
that-
Miguel, was that there'd be a lot of Lando news this year.
Yeah, I don't know about this. So I'm
Not a chance
very.
in hell in my
He
book.
swung
Not a
for it
chance in
with that
hell. We're getting
So-
He's swinging for it.
So okay, I'm very confused about this. So Donald Glover has this new Prime Video series, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, coming out tomorrow.
not a soul has asked him about it.
Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
Like people are asking him about all sorts of stuff. Like it came out that this trailer that he put out with 21 Savage, that he was gonna play him or direct it or whatever, that was all BS. Someone asked him today about something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was like not Star Wars level big, but it was pretty big for someone. Like, why isn't anyone asking?
Yeah.
Like, have people been told that are doing these interviews not to ask him about Star Wars?
At most, I want to know if it's actually a real. If what's his brother or whoever was not talking.
Oh,
out their
that's been
ass.
confirmed. That's been
It
confirmed.
was confirmed.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I haven't thought about the Lando thing for months now because
I just forget. Sometimes I forget
just
that that's even out
disappeared.
there in the universe.
I am no longer convinced this is happening. To be honest, even though Lucasfilm confirmed it to Variety a few months ago that it was.
Oh, yeah,
like,
now I'm remembering. Yeah, they confirmed it.
My prediction for this has been for like the last year that this would slowly just sink away into the background with all the other stuff they're
I
going
would
to keep
love
pushing,
for
and
it to
everyone
happen,
will
though.
just
I-
forget that this will ever happen.
Yeah, I really want it to happen, but it's just weird that no one has asked because Donald Glover, he's not a shy dude, but it's like I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird situation.
And this isn't related. This kind of relates to Lando a little bit because of the Solo movie, but I really want, and maybe this could happen with different movies and stuff and Lando connection. I want Emilia Clarke's return to Star Wars to happen with Kira at some point. And
I think this is happening this year.
And that's what my prediction was. I was going to add one at the very end is that Emilia Clarke. That was I wrote it down. So Miguel didn't steal it from me. Or I'm not stealing it from Miguel, I guess is what I should say. But I wrote it down. I have confirmation. I wrote it down like 2 hours ago. Emilia Clarke's coming back this year. I think it could be tied to this. We'll see. But that would be something that I would love. And then if that happens to coincide with the Lando movie, that's great. If not, and Lando disappears, I'm really not going to be that upset about this movie. I don't really have strong opinions, but sometimes that's when the best Star Wars stuff comes out, because I had the same thought about Andor up until about 2.5, 3 months before it came out. When it first was announced, I kind of dismissed it as okay, whatever. As it was coming out, I'm like, I think this is going to be incredible. And then I ended up loving it. So who knows? Any final thoughts on any of the predictions? That
There's a 10th that I'm not gonna.
I didn't put it on there just
Yeah.
because I forgot. But
There's a 10th that I'm not gonna talk about much because we have Nate here. So the headline is we will get updates on Knights of the Old Republic remake, Eclipse getting a release window, and a new AAA Star Wars game announcement. Nate, go.
Oh, KOTOR. I feel like they'll still be quiet. I think that'll just go by the wayside. We'll have to see. Eclipse. I'm not sure what's going on with Eclipse either. But as far as new AAA game, I feel like it's probable. I feel like we'll get another announcement. I feel like Outlaws is going to be a really big hit this year, and I feel like they're going to take advantage of that and announce something. I'm excited to see what it's going to be, but as far as KOTOR and Eclipse,
when does Outlaws come out? Like November
later this year, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
They haven't announced that yet.
No.
I'm not the.
It'll probably be in
guy.
the second half of the year, I would imagine, but we'll have to see on that.
So my thinking here was that they are essentially doing one AAA game a year. So they did Survivor last year. They did the Lego one the year before, but sort of one AAA game a year. So they haven't lined up one yet for next year. Maybe it's I think wasn't
there's Respawn games that are on the way. So so I feel like one of the Respawn games is probably coming very soon. I feel like we'll probably get news on one of those fairly soon too.
So I think at some point they're gonna have to say something about both KOTOR and Eclipse. And I don't know. This is just very out there. Like I should say something about video games, but I'm not super. And
I'm not super in the know on the game development side of things either, admittedly, but if we're going to get news on either one of those, it's probably going to be Eclipse because I feel like Eclipse is still happening because last we heard about Eclipse that development was going okay. Cannot say the same for KOTOR. Cannot say the same about that. The last things we heard about that is that it's possibly dead in the water and maybe one or two people are still working on it, but we'll have to see.
But what do you think about a new studio picking up KOTOR?
It's possible. Because who do they have working on it now? I can't remember. It's Asper and someone else was brought in on the title as well. And I wish I had better answers for both for it, but it's
that's fine.
Yeah, I am not super confident on either of those getting updates, honestly, because it's been radio silent on both of those titles, KOTOR and Eclipse. But Eclipse is more likely if we're going to hear anything out of the two.
Fair enough. Well, that brings us to the end. We went a little long today, but I think that's perfectly fine when we're making Star Wars predictions for the year. Miguel, you have your Sunday piece that comes out every week, and I will also want to give you the chance to mention Movie Newsnet here real quick. And then Nate, I know that you just got a couple special books over the last 72 hours, basically. So definitely want to give you a chance to talk about those. Miguel, we'll start with you.
MovieNewsNet.com. I have been having a huge week, so I wrote multiple reviews for Sundance movies that I was able to see over the weekend. I published, I think, all of them now. Yeah, there were 3. I will have a new review coming out tomorrow on the new Daisy Ridley movie, Sometimes I Think About Dying. So look forward to that. I just published the
Quick
top
thumbs
20...
up or down for that?
I haven't seen it yet, but I have the screener, so I will see it in the morning and publish a review just a bit later. My top 24 most anticipated movies of the year is up now, so check out that. And also, StarWarsNews.com. Sunday, it's been a slow week for news, but I think I've settled on a topic for the main conversation on the Sunday piece, which will come out at an uncertain time. And it will be probably lighter than usual, but look forward to that.
I always love the Sunday piece. It's literally I'm not joking when I say it's my favorite read of the week. If you are a Star Wars fan, you got to check out the A Week in It from a Galaxy Far, Far Away from Miguel every week. It's a great Star Wars read, and I will be reading the 24 most anticipated films of the year. Get my movie schedule put together. Nate, you got a couple things in the inbox this week.
Oh, yeah. Just received The Living Force on the upcoming, the highly anticipated novel from Return from the legendary John Jackson Miller. Can't wait to dig into that at some point. Because first I have to dig into the art of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I got the art book for that the other day. So I'll be replaying Jedi Survivor to refresh my memory on that, and I'm going to have a special piece on that in the coming weeks, so look forward to that, and review for Living Force as well, and some good stuff from there. But yeah, tons of stuff in the book world, as always. Star Wars books, whenever it's a slow week, it's the books and comics that live. We've had comic releases and book releases this week, so yeah, they will always be there when the news is slow.
Absolutely. Always go to Star Wars Newsnet for all of your Star Wars things. We cover everything from the movie, shows, books, comics, and video games, everything in between. You can follow me on Twitter at TyBrad5. I'll be taking over some of Star Wars Newsnet's Twitter for some random Star Wars stuff that happens this week at MegaCon. Had a fun interaction with Juan Carlos Esposito today. That was great. I'll be putting just a bunch of fun stuff on our Instagram channel. I put a lot of stuff on our story today and a few feeds, a few reels that I thought were pretty fun. So check that out. My review for Escape from Valo, our return to the middle grade novels of the High Republic, came out this last week. Like I said before, I just gush about everything High Republic. It's 12:30 here. I'm probably going to go read another chapter of Defy the Storm before I go to bed, just so I can get my High Republic fix in for the day. But yep, you can catch me here on YouTube. I'm starting a little series of Who Is in Star Wars. Just published one. Just Who Is Elzar Mann. So we'll do that. I'm doing the Timeline show with Brian. That's going to come out on Mondays. It came out Tuesday this week because we had some technical difficulties just with getting our audio set up and everything. But the audio is there, so you can follow us on Spotify and soon on Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can watch the Timeline show on YouTube or listen to it. Same thing with Star Wars Newsnet Live every Thursday night here on YouTube as well. Fellas, I think that rounds us out. And in the words of Nate to get us out today, I have nothing else to add.
So what do you want from me?